California's new governor, Gavin Newsom, has some age-old problems to deal with, including a history of nepotism. The state has vowed to end the practice, but it continues. LA Times senior investigations editor Jack Leonard joins us now with a look at some pretty controversial hiring decisions. Hey, Jack.
Hi.
All right, the phrase that caught my attention was gross misconduct, and this is coming from a state auditor's report that was delivered to the governor's desk this week. Tell us what was found in that report.
Sure. This report was about the Department of Industrial Relations. It was about how the executive director at the time influenced a decision to hire her daughter at the agency and later to promote her. And there were allegations that when whistleblowers came forward, that there was some retaliation against them. And
that also a state agency was charged with fixing the problem, right, with going in and policing it, failed to do that as well. The state auditor, Elaine Howle, said that this undermines the merit-based system of hiring in California. Tell us the history of this.
Yeah, well, this goes back to more than 100 years ago, to the spoil system, where if you won the election, you'd be able to get your relatives, your friends, and your political allies jobs. This was supposed to be cleaned up. Back in 1913, there was the Civil Service Act that said that if you wanted a job in state government, you had to get it on your abilities. What a crazy
concept, right? No, this was really and truly, it was a progressive governor, Hiram Johnson, right, who also helped give us our direct democracy system, our proposition system. But he said you had to be qualified, it had to be competitive, it had to be merit-based, there couldn't be a conflict of interest. But people have been doing it anyway ever since. And so were you stunned at the numbers that you saw in this report?
Yeah, well, some of the numbers in recent reports have been pretty staggering. You've got the Board of Equalization. A couple of years ago, there was a report that found that there were something like more than 800 employees in that agency. 17.5% of the employees were related in one way or another. You had the managers, it was even higher, the percentage.
It was almost 30%, 29%. Yeah, they said that they are related either by blood or by adoption or by marriage or they're cohabitating or they have a very close personal relationship.
And these state audits have found that it's not just, because there's nothing wrong with being related to someone that you work with, right? But some of these reports have found that there's influence going on, that people have been getting jobs because of who they know.
And Jack, in addition to the Department of Industrial Relations and the Board of Equalization, there were also issues at the State Lottery Commission. Explain those.
Yeah, you had Robert O'Neill when he was the head. Over a 17-day period, his twin sons land jobs, and so does his stepdaughter. There was a hearing last year where several veteran employees of the agency came forward and complained about nepotism and cronyism and other problems.
Do you know how many agencies involved?
I think it's something like 7 different agencies over the last decade.
And they're making $50,000, $60,000 a year. These are not little tiny jobs.
These are jobs that a lot of people feel like you're going to set for life because they're secure jobs, they've got pensions. Healthcare, right.
Yeah.
So people, when these jobs become open, sometimes you've got thousands of people applying for just a few hundred jobs.
People have said that it looks more like family businesses when you walk into some of these agencies because so many people are related to one another. And there was a survey done of employees of the state that found that 40% of the state's employees felt that these familial relationships and personal relationships, employee favoritism, actually compromise the mission of the agencies.
That's right. And there have been these kinds of surveys over and over and investigations that my colleague Patrick McGreevy has been digging into and tracking and putting all this together. And it paints a pretty ugly picture.
So what's Governor Gavin Newsom to do?
Well, that's the question, right? There's an investigation right now into the Department of Industrial Relations. This is the same agency that's supposed to look after the workforce. And there's a Department of Justice investigation into the California lottery as well.
So we'll just have to wait and see what is next.
Right.
All right. Thanks, Jack, for coming in.